If you find yourself in the valley of Tang, visit the Ogyencholing Heritage Museum. Initially founded as one of the 8 lings by Longchen Rabjam in the 14th century, the ancient house is now a museum. Famed Bhutanese author Kuzuzangpo Choden is the executive trustee of the Ogyencholing Foundation that looks after the preservation of this ancient heritage home.
It is a house that was built at a location identified by Longchen Rabjam sometime in the 14th century, and it is included among the 8 lings, the 8 original lings, and Ogyencholing probably got its name from there. And what has happened to it now is that we had to find a strategy to make this structure survive. So under the overall vision of cultural preservation, we made it into a museum. We remembered how this household functioned before the social reforms in the 1950s, and we also had very strong emotional links to the place, so we didn't want to give it up. We could have sold it perhaps, or we could have sold the artifacts, but we said let's make it a family museum. It's like walking into the past. In our effort to preserve the cultural heritage, we've tried not to make any big structural changes, to maintain everything the way it is. Even the painting, we want to keep it the way it is. In fact, we become very emotional about every piece of wood we are preserving and keeping it, and all the window shutters, the Bhutanese window shutters, not one has been thrown away after it was replaced with glass frames. We use them as tables, we use them as wall decoration. As for our temple, we are very fortunate because we had Choden to come here and look at it with her experts, and they said not to do anything because they said it's still in very good condition compared to the status of some of the temples in the country. Ever since my parents passed away, I knew this is where I wanted to be. I was mentally prepared to come and live here, and I never feel the need that I have to go away somewhere. This has always been my home. I had temporary homes in different places, but this was the home that I always knew that I'd come back to.
Looking for a fun activity in Bumthang? Set in 10 acres of land leased from the local community, the Windhorse Ranch borders the Bumthang Community Dairy and shares in a bucolic landscape of sheep farms and natural wilderness. Surrounded by beautiful mountains, the ranch is an ideal base from which to head out into the trails of the valley.
Okay, so we're in Bumthang in the beautiful valley of Tang.
And guess what they have?
Horses! You can come here with your family and friends and ride in beautiful valley of Tang. Jenge mo sila. Yeah, sure.
Bumthang is also famous for their thick hand-woven woolen textile with intricate designs called Yatta. Yatta weaving has been prevalent for generations, and many households depend on it for their livelihood. The authentic yatta, made from wool, can be sold for as much as 25,000. As you enter Bumthang, you'll reach Chumey, where you see a huge display of the famous textile. We also visited the Doji Weaving Center close to Bumthang town, where Amdema, one of the founding members of the center, showed us around and told us their story. She shared that many of the young women were leaving the center to look for jobs in the capital. Now, the weaving center is only made up of a dozen elderly women from the Yeewong. It's okay to look for better jobs, she said, but she worries about the future of the Doji Weaving Center without the younger generation continuing the art. As our trip to Bumthang slowly came to an end, I found myself at a loss for words, not really sure how to conclude the travelogue. How do you describe Bumthang? Well, this is me trying. Bumthang is a home for Bhutanese near and far, a place of magic, distant like a shining star. It's filled with stories of saints, like one that jumped in the lake, and stories of legends for whom we can take. It's home to Bhutan's history, in temples and in shrines, to whom we pray silently, listening to the chimes. It's a place of adventure, the trails we discover, with history in every step, as we slowly uncover. It's a place of beauty, with surprises in the meadows, tall pine trees and flowers, sitting pretty on the windows. It's a home we go back to, as with age we remember the smell of the fields, harvesting buckwheat in September. Filled with miles of golden fields, it is a mystical land where hardworking villagers still work with their hands. Bumthang's Yathra is a story of women's resilience as each thread uncover an ode in silence. It's the home of our ancestors, taste of the bitter putta as old grandmothers feed us by asking Samdrup. To describe Bumthang Valley is a task too much at hand, for there is no other like this mystical land.